Ever brought home a cute little plant only to find it's grown bigger than your dog in a few months? You've been invaded! Yes, some plants are like that uninvited guest at your party who not only overstays their welcome but also spreads out their stuff all over your living room. These are the space invaders of the plant kingdom. They can quickly outgrow their allotted space, leading to overcrowded rooms and blocked views. And before you know it, you're living in a leafy labyrinth. Take the Monstera deliciosa, for example. It starts off as a small, manageable plant, but give it a few months and it's taking over your living room with its large, tropical leaves. It's like Jack's beanstalk, but instead of leading to a giant's castle, it's leading to a cramped living room. Or consider the fiddle-leaf fig. Yes, it's been the darling of interior designers for years, but this plant is a space invader in disguise. Its large, dramatic leaves may look stunning in a spacious showroom, but in a small apartment, it's like trying to squeeze an elephant into a closet. And let's not forget about the rubber tree. This plant can grow up to 50 feet tall in the wild. Yes, you heard that right, 50 feet. Now imagine that in your cozy studio apartment. It's a recipe for a botanical disaster. So what can you do to prevent these space invaders from taking over your home? Well, the key is research. Before bringing a plant into your space, make sure to check how much room it needs to grow. Opt for plants that stay small or grow slowly, like succulents or snake plants. Remember, size does matter when it comes to choosing plants for small spaces. So next time you're at the nursery, resist the lure of those big, beautiful leaves. Instead, choose wisely and opt for plants that match your space, not invade it. After all, you want your plants to enhance your home, not overrun it. Remember, size does matter when it comes to choosing plants for small spaces. Choose wisely. Think all plants are low maintenance? Think again. Now let's talk about the water guzzlers, the plants that just can't get enough of the H2O. They might seem like a good idea at first. After all, who doesn't love a lush tropical vibe? But these thirsty plants can cause more trouble than they're worth in a small space. Take for instance the Boston fern. This frilly fellow is a popular choice for indoor greenery, but it has a secret. It's a water guzzler. The Boston fern loves to keep its feet wet, which means it needs to be watered frequently. And we're not just talking a little sprinkle here and there. No, this fern needs a good soak, which can lead to water spills and even potential water damage in your small space. Then there's the peace lily. This beauty with its elegant white blooms might look innocent enough, but don't be fooled. The peace lily is another major water guzzler. It likes its soil to be consistently moist, which means you'll be reaching for the watering can more often than you might think. And remember, where there's excess water, there's the potential for water damage, especially in small spaces where it's harder to control the spread. But it's not just about water damage. These water guzzlers can also increase the humidity in your space. While a little humidity can be good, too much can lead to a host of problems, from mold and mildew to attracting unwanted pests. So, what's the solution? Well, it's simple. Before buying a plant, make sure you know its watering needs. If you're in a small space, it might be best to steer clear of the water guzzlers. Opt for plants that are more drought-tolerant, like succulents or snake plants. They'll still give you that touch of green without turning your home into a swampy mess. Before buying a plant, make sure you know its watering needs to avoid turning your home into a swampy mess. Remember, the right plant can make all the difference in creating a serene and comfortable space. Who needs curtains when you have plants, right? Wrong. You see, some plants can play the unintentional role of light blockers, casting shadows over your tiny nooks and crannies. They might be gorgeous and green, but large leafy plants can block out precious natural light, making your small spaces feel even darker and more confined. Take, for instance, the rubber plant. With its large, glossy leaves, it's quite the stunner. But before you know it, it's towering over your furniture, bathing your room in a perpetual twilight. It's like having a shade tree indoors. And while that might sound charming, it's not exactly practical when you're trying to read a book or find your favorite pair of socks. Then there's the bird of paradise. This tropical beauty is known for its large paddle-shaped leaves that fan out like a peacock's tail. But remember, it's a bird of paradise, not a bird of small, cozy apartments. This plant is a natural light hog. It thrives in bright, sunny spaces, and in its quest for light, it can end up blocking your windows, turning your sunny breakfast nook into a dimly lit cavern. And let's not forget about the Monstera deliciosa, or the Swiss cheese plant. Its large, holy leaves might look interesting and exotic, but they can cast some seriously heavy shade. It's not the best choice if you're trying to keep your space light and airy. The key is to strike a balance. Yes, plants are a great way to bring a bit of nature indoors, but you don't want your indoor jungle blocking out the sun. Opt for plants with smaller leaves or those that grow in a more vertical fashion. Think slender snake plants or delicate ferns. The goal is to choose plants that allow the sunshine to filter through their leaves, creating a dappled light effect rather than a total eclipse. Remember, plants should complement your space, not take it over. Choose plants that let the sun shine in. Fast-growing plants might sound like a dream, but in a small space they can quickly become a nightmare. Imagine this. You bring home a petite golden pothos, charmed by its heart-shaped leaves and vibrant green color. You find a cozy corner in your studio apartment, place it on a shelf and think, perfect. Fast forward a few weeks and you're tripping over trailing vines, ducking under leafy tendrils, and your cozy corner has turned into a jungle. You see, fast-growing plants like the golden pothos or the spider plant are fantastic in the right space. They fill up areas quickly, adding a lush, vibrant feel. But in a small room, they can take over faster than you can say pruning shears. These plants are like the botanical equivalent of a snowball rolling downhill, gathering momentum and size with each passing day. And it's not just about the space they consume. Their rapid growth means they require frequent trimming. If you're someone who enjoys the meditative process of plant care, this might not be a problem. However, if you're looking for low-maintenance greenery to enhance your space without demanding too much of your time, fast growers can quickly become more of a chore than a charm. Consider the spider plant. It's a popular choice for indoors because it's hardy and adaptable, but it's also a fast grower, with the potential to send out long, arching leaves and spiderettes that can reach several feet in length. Before you know it, your spider plant could be vying for space with your coffee table, your bookshelf, even your couch. So, before you bring a new plant into your small space, remember to check its growth rate. Fast is not always better. Sometimes, slow and steady wins the race, especially when it comes to maintaining a balanced and breathable living space. If you don't want to spend your weekends trimming leaves, avoid fast-growing plants in small spaces. Some plants demand more attention than a diva at a diva convention. Let's talk about those plants that are like the Mariah Careys of the botanical world. Stunning to look at, but oh so high maintenance. These are the plants that demand more than just water and sunlight. They want specific soil, precise humidity levels, and the perfect temperature. And if one thing is off, well, let's just say they won't be hitting those high notes. Take the orchid, for example. She's a true diva, demanding a specific watering schedule, a particular type of potting mix, and just the right amount of indirect light. If you're a plant parent with a busy lifestyle, this prima donna can be a real challenge to keep happy. And in a small space, the last thing you need is a plant throwing a tantrum because you missed her feeding time by an hour. Or consider the gardenia. With their intoxicating fragrance and glamorous blooms, they are the superstar of any plant collection, but they come with a rider longer than a rock star's. Gardenias want acidic soil, high humidity, and lots of bright indirect light. They are also prone to pests, so you'll need to be on the lookout for those uninvited backstage fans. And let's not forget about the drama of repotting these divas. It's like trying to change the costume of a temperamental actress in the middle of a performance. One wrong move, and you'll be dealing with a full-scale plant meltdown. So while these divas can certainly add a touch of glamour to your small space, they also bring a whole lot of drama. Unless you're prepared to be their personal assistant, catering to their every whim, you might be better off sticking with more low-maintenance options. Unless you want your plant to be the diva of your small space, choose low-maintenance options. Plants purify the air, but some can also make you sneeze and wheeze. Isn't that ironic? You bring in a plant to liven up your small space and it repays you with a case of the sniffles. It's like inviting a friend over and they bring their pet skunk. Thanks, but no thanks. So let's dive into the leafy troublemakers that can stir up allergies. First up, the weeping fig. It's a popular houseplant with a dark side. It's known to cause skin reactions, and if you're asthmatic, it can worsen your symptoms. A double whammy of discomfort, all packaged in a seemingly innocent green plant. Next on our list of allergy agitators is the English ivy. It's often praised for its air-purifying qualities. But if you're sensitive to airborne allergens, this plant can be a nightmare. It's notorious for causing allergic reactions ranging from skin rashes to respiratory issues. So, are we suggesting you ditch the greenery and resign yourself to a plantless existence? Absolutely not. There are plenty of hypoallergenic plants out there that can add a touch of nature to your small space without wreaking havoc on your sinuses. Consider options like the areca palm or the spider plant. They're not only great at purifying the air, but they're also less likely to trigger allergies. so you can enjoy the benefits of indoor plants without the sneezing and wheezing. Choose hypoallergenic plants for small spaces to keep the air clean and your nose clear. After all, your home should be a place of comfort, not a pollen-filled petri dish. No one likes mold, but some plants seem to attract it like a magnet. Imagine your compact, comfortable space suddenly becoming a breeding ground for mold. Sounds like a nightmare, right? Well, certain types of plants, especially those that thrive in high humidity, can turn this nightmare into a reality. These plants, they're like the popular kids at a party, creating a moist, inviting environment that mold just can't resist. When housed in a small space, these moisture-loving plants can easily tip the scales of humidity, encouraging mold growth. Consider the areca palm, for example. This elegant plant is a real humidity hog, and it loves to keep its surroundings damp. Now that might be great for creating a tropical ambiance, but in a confined space, it's like rolling out the red carpet for mold. Then there's the Boston fern, a classic houseplant, yes, but a mold magnet nonetheless. The Boston fern needs a high level of humidity to thrive, which in turn can create the perfect conditions for mold to flourish. So, what's the takeaway here? Well, if you're dealing with limited space, it's best to steer clear of plants that require high humidity. Instead, opt for plants that are comfortable in lower humidity levels. Avoid moisture-loving plants in small spaces to keep mold at bay. Remember, a plant should make your space feel more lively and inviting, not turn it into a moldy mess. Some plants just can't be contained, even by pots. Welcome to the final chapter of our Green Guide, where we explore the fascinating world of pot-bound powerhouses. These are the plants that grow with such vigor that they quickly outgrow their pots, leading to messy repotting or even root damage. Unfortunately, they're not the best choice for small spaces. Let's start with the alocasia, also known as the elephant ear plant. It's a stunning indoor plant with large heart-shaped leaves, but it's also a notorious pot buster. Alocasia grows rapidly under ideal conditions, and its roots can quickly become cramped in a pot. This not only makes repotting a messy affair, but it can also lead to root damage and unhealthy plants if not handled with care. Next on the list, we have the ZZ plant. Don't be fooled by its slow-growing nature. This plant is a secret pot-bound powerhouse. The ZZ plant's thick, tuberous roots can fill up a pot before you know it. When this happens, the plant can become top-heavy and tip over, making it a hazard in small spaces. Plus, repotting a ZZ plant can be a real challenge, thanks to its extensive root system. So, what's the solution? Choose plants that are happy to stay pot-bound. These plants don't mind a little snugness around their roots and can thrive in the same pot for years. Some examples include the snake plant and the spider plant. They're low-maintenance, slow-growing, and perfect for small spaces. Remember, the key to a serene, green space is not just about choosing the right plants, but also about understanding their needs. With the right care and attention, even the smallest of spaces can become a lush, green oasis. Choose plants that are happy to stay pot-bound to avoid frequent repotting in small spaces. And with that, we conclude today's chapter of Don't Do This Guide. Stay tuned for more insightful guides to make your life easier and more enjoyable. Until next time, keep your garden green and your space serene.